So the first question I would have is, what have you all seen in early learning that's made the most difference in your work or in your idea of what a young child is and how they should be educated?
One of the most important things that someone coming into this field needs to recognize is that children are individuals, and children want to have a connection with the people who are around them. They want to feel like the people who are around them really like them and want them in their environment and are looking out for their best interests and are trying to help them have fun in their learning environment.
That's one of the things I think I've seen, is that you all form relationship with these kids. Learning at this age seems to come through relationships, just like parents. It's not like a structure, sit down, you're going to listen or take notes, but it's actually through the relationship the teacher has with the student that the education happens in. And I think I see that again and again.
I would say one of the things, and I've been in the child care field for many years, the change in how children are redirected. We go back from them sitting on timeout chair to now we redirect them and guide them in positive ways. We use positive words, we tell them what they can do versus what they shouldn't be doing. As example, don't run down the hall. We use walking feet, the positive reinforcement.
So how does a parent do that? Because as parents, we're tired, we want to cut to the chase. We just want to go, oh, darn it, just do this.
Okay, well the first thing I think they have to do is bite their tongue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you want to say don't right away.
Right.
So you have to think what you're going to say first and put it in that positive. You want your child to do what you want them to do versus, again, saying not do it.
Yeah. And that sounds like
it's
something.
It's very hard. It takes skill. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of skill to get yourself trained to do that.
To not just speak or not say.
Yeah.
Right. And I imagine sounds like almost the same thing you're telling your kids to do in the class. Because I hear you again and again use words. What is the thing you were talking about? First you stop and.
Second step?
Second step. You're talking about that. What is the phrase the kids use in that?
Take a deep breath and count to 5.
Yeah.
Till you feel all calm inside.
And if you do that, I think it's probably a lot easier for me as a parent to actually do what you just said, which is not speak in a negative, but redirect them. How do activities work to do that? Because I see kids flow from activities, and I see a quieter room, even though there's a bustle in an early learning room. What I also see are kids descending into activities and concentrating and quiet when they do that. That's not always what we want, but calmness, I think, in a day is. How do you do that through redirection? Do you ever take that kid and go, well, why don't you go over here and here's something else that you can do?
Well, if you have a child that's acting up and they need to be maybe taken away from that, yes, you're going to kind of guide them to another area, especially if they're hurting another child.
And that can be as simple as just setting a little bucket of water there, letting them get in the water to get themselves calmed down. Or Play-Doh. Play-Doh is another good one. Working it.
All of which are tactile. So so actually give them, rather than take away, stick them in a chair where they don't touch something, you're actually saying, actually do something where their senses are, that's a great idea.
Hey, I bet you can put this puzzle together. Let me see.
Yeah, and that's a great positive way. All of a sudden they're not feeling bad about themselves. And what you said is that they want that relationship. You look at learning, and we're hardwired to be social learners, that we want to do it with somebody else. And I think they look for that parent, that adult relationship. And if they have that, they're going to want to please you, you know.
Exactly. I was just going to say that children inherently want to please the adults in their lives, but they also want attention. So there's that struggle between I want the attention and how am I going to get it? Do I get it when I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be and being recognized for it? Or am I being ignored? But if I act out, I'm sure going to get attention that way.
Right.
So, you know, it's a matter of spending time with the child. And as you said, parents are busy. They leave here, they've had a harried day at work. You know, and we invite parents and encourage them to, when they get home, even though you've got so much to do at home, give your child 10 or 15 minutes as soon
Mm.
as you get in the door. Give them that attention right away. And then they may be more apt to play alone for a little while you go ahead and start dinner. But if you give them that attention right off the bat, you're feeding their need for a short time. It gives them what they need, and then you have the time that you need to get started with what you have.
That it pays dividends in the rest of the
Mhm.
evening probably because you've supplied that need.
And this is something else for teachers just starting out too. It's when you have 20 children in the class, some of them just kind of step back, and are the quiet ones, and they're kind of hard to miss at times unless you're really focusing. You have to make sure you approach every single child, at least give them 5 minutes to talk to them.
Mm.
Because sometimes, they're just off doing their own little thing and not requiring a lot of attention, and those are the ones you have to really focus in on also.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Remind yourself that.
Yes.
Yeah, because they kind of blend and meld into the
Right.
environment,
Mhm.
and new teachers do, they seem to forget about them.
Well, this is interesting because this reminds me of something Ms. Reyes says, which is in terms of a good teacher and advice to a young teacher is to know that every kid is going to be different. So how do you do that? What do you look for? What tells you who the child is as you look at a child? Especially for a young teacher coming in. Well, we know some kids learn kinesthetically, some are verbal, some are visual. What do you see that puts you onto a child? What do you look for?
You have to look for everything, and the key word there is you have to observe.
Hmm.
So while you're engaging in interaction or stepping back and just doing observation, you have to get to know each of those children.
Mm.
What are their strong points? What are their weaknesses? And when they do act up, then play on those strong points. If Susie really likes to play with babies and she's struggling right now, encourage her to go to those babies. That's something that she likes. It's a plus for her. It's her strength.
That's something I see you do, all of you. It's almost like you're scientists in a way, because you think of, I think an uneducated view looks at it as just, hanging out with kids. But you actually really are like scientists, where if the baby is what needs to be put into the equation, that's what you put in. If it's sand, if it's water, that you do. I think we were talking about this, about as you watch, as you see what the kid needs or might be drawn to. And I guess Nikki also was talking about this, that's, you look for the things you can add. You're not doing it for them, but you're leading them just by adding something.